All systems have been alerted to your presence, sir.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
I hope you know what you're doing.
The Emperor has been expecting you.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Starlight Digest Toy Chest, episode 14. This is going to be our post-HasCon breakdown and see what happened over the weekend. Maybe some good things, some bad things. We'll get into it ASAP. It is September 16, 2024. I'm your host, Darth Moocher. I've got Alexander Storm here.
Hey, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. Good. We want to send out a special 50th birthday to Scott Solo, who is in Ireland at this time. So I know he'll be watching the replay. So, yeah, he's having fun out there. So I'm hoping that he gets back soon so we can talk Star Wars.
Sure.
Yeah. So, but it's Monday. What we're here to do is talk toys, right? Everything that's going on in the Star Wars universe, toy wise. Before we get into all that good stuff, our Shadow Council is our Patreon exclusive to this channel. Everybody that joins, you get a lot of input in the show. There might be some detailed prizes or tiers that you get into. If you feel so interested, you can scan that QR code and join that growing list. Thank you so much for everybody that supports us. Even if you hit a like on anything that we do, a like goes a long way, so we appreciate that so much. And in the pit we've got Luis Loro Martinez Ramos. That's one person hitting us early. We got Rhino Hobbies. Yes, and Gordon Skolsky's in there. Awesome, guys. Yes. As more people join us on this Monday, because it's early, we get into this thing. Our number one love in this world, man, is toys, Alex. And I spent some money this week. I spent some money. We also got chicken, pork, adobo.
Great name. Great name.
Yeah, guys. So Friday was Pulse Con 2024. Yep. Now, 5-year anniversary of Pulse Con. They've been going on for 5 years strong. I remember, like, my most iconic memory of PulseCon was around COVID time when it was almost like a Comic-Con, right? Their panels were longer. They had like musical acts. They had like hosts that went through the buildings and show us a lot of behind the scenes. It was like very energetic, right?
Yeah.
I do miss that type of PulseCon, and I know that they're trying to get back into that normal flow of what they're doing, but I did. And I did feel it was very live streamy, what they usually do when they break down a live stream for us. Like, here's a Star Wars live stream, and here's what it is. Boom. And then like it just was like a continuation one. I wonder if they'll ever get to that point of a true event style, which I'm not taking away anything that they did. It's at the end of the day, it's where are the toys, where are the pre-orders? I mean, that was it, right? But I do. I do enjoy, or I did enjoy that whole thing where it was like an event, maybe even if it was a 2-day event. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I've said it before. It feels more like the Home Shopping Network
Yeah.
than an actual like convention or an event, and I think they
Yeah.
have to figure out a way. One, I think with the host they had Jordan Hembrow, that
Yeah.
we've had a moment, and again he sometimes he comes off a tad bit disingenuous, and
I agree.
he
Yeah.
just seems like he's there to push a product.
Yeah.
Dan Larson showed up from Secret Galaxy, and I thought they didn't really give him a lot to do. And he seemed like maybe he was a last minute addition because he was just really kind of like thrown in, like he didn't know
He
what to
didn't.
do or what to,
Yeah. Like he didn't add anything because the other hosts were there and they kind of did it, and he was like
Yeah.
reiterating. It was. I feel too like they spoiled us in the past.
Yes.
And that's why I bring it up, right? So now when we see, and like I said, there was some really cool reveals, and I guess we're all here about those reveals. But I don't know. I was kind of like cheerleading for Hasbro to have these kind of like we are the toy mecca. We are the leaders of the toy industry.
Yeah, I think they have to try to do better with this. I think they do need to make it more like an event. I think they need to stop having their employees host panels. I think you need to go out and get concentrated hosts again. At the same time they were doing this, Sideshow actually had an actual live stream.
I saw that,
and their hosts are fantastic.
Yeah,
they were interactive, and they knew the products and everything, and it just seemed like it wasn't forced. So I think they really got to start making it again. Maybe go back to the first 2 years, because the last 3, once he started putting YouTubers in it, it seems like it just lost its way a little.
Yeah. Like I said, they spoiled us early on, and I thought that was going to be a thing that grew and grew, almost like their own D23 or their own, because they got enough IPs and they've got enough things going on, especially like the G.I. Joe team, of course, and the Transformers. Like those are their IPs. They've got shows that, and there's a new G.I. Joe game, the game that they.
I saw that.
I'm like, okay, I want to play it.
Yeah.
It's those smash and grab games, right? The 2D scroller, and I was like, G.I. Joe needs a background product that does it. I know that they're, and I was wrong, but I thought it was merged into one. But in October, their 10/27 event.
So I guess it's 2 different events or something. So
you know what, Alex, I thought it was one. I honestly thought it was just like one because it's around the same time, right? So, let's see. Rhino Hobbies. I thought Steve would have had a bigger part and not just the guy handing figs to Ryan. I mean, that's what he was just there. Just there. Like I said, the other host had it under control. It would be different if he was solo introducing a next segment or doing something, or some behind the scenes thing would be cool. Like I really want, like as a collector, I'm also interested in the process too. So sometimes opening those doors and just letting us peek inside. You don't have to show us everything. You don't have to do all those trade secrets, but something of like, okay, here's the tools that we use to model these things. If it's all in, let's just say ZBRUT, like it's all digital, and then how those the resin print, how the manufacture, some sort of like a I don't know,
like kind of like how the figure's built. Something where you can see it like from the concept point to the actual tooling to maybe there's mistakes and errors that descend back. You'd like to see more of the process. Let's see what Hasbro does,
I might be in the minority of it, or maybe not, but I like that process. I actually like seeing it a little bit of like, because it lets you in a little bit, this, like I said, HasCon has become, last 2 years has become just an extended live stream of like, here's our products, boom, here's our products, boom, pre-order at 4:00 or in our case, 1:00.
In the middle of the day, which I'm always surprised.
Middle of the day, Friday,
you would think that they would put it because there's a certain host of individuals that's not home during that time. So you think the better thing to do is push it off where like maybe East Coast and West Coast are at home so they could order. So I don't understand putting it in the bulk early part of the day, and then having like people in the middle of their work shifts try to order toys on the West Coast.
This isn't even like a lunch hour, right? I mean, it was like I said, 1:00 our time, and then 2 p.m. for it's 1 and 2, one for the premium members, and then Yeah, and I get Fridays, paydays are Fridays, and
Oh yeah.
the exclusives were taken out. They weren't pre-orders. They were well, okay, the GI Joe one, Starduster. He didn't take that out right away. I think that comes out in November 1st.
Yeah, that does.
So
yeah,
it's like a month off. Yeah,
they should have dropped. I think by the sometime in November. Now, if you know them, either can come early or can go late. You should go either or with them.
Yeah. Well, I did get my battle droids, so they are shipped.
Yeah.
They're bought and shipped. So I was hoping to give them in hand today, but maybe for the next one I'll have them in hand. That
seems what happens on the West Coast all the time. The East Coast tubers and everything get their stuff early. We always get our stuff like weeks later after there's been hundreds of reviews and everything.
Yeah, and also like you get those notifications in the email like, hey, your product's being shipped, and you don't get the thing for like 2 weeks,
Exactly.
and then they never accumulate all your orders one box at a time every single day. I'm like, what a waste of resources.
Hey, they got billions of dollars, man.
I know. But I mean, okay, so before we get into like the Star Wars, I know everybody like Gordon's right there, and I got my eye on exactly what he said before, but there was something missing here. And I don't know, again, maybe because the 10/27 events come in end of year, they kind of do these more live streams or whatever, but I didn't see any pipeline reveals. I didn't see any talk of like, I know they said like like for example, they did 2 digital renders for GI Joe, but they did it on their social medias. They didn't do it here.
Yeah, because
name only or anything.
The host forgot to run it, and like at a portion in the show near the end of that segment, he was, oh my god, I think we forgot the digital renders. He was like, we'll just put those online. But you're right. I think the digital renders are important. I would like to see the Star Wars team start doing that a little bit more, like like the Joe team.
Yeah.
Because
oh God. Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to see the digital renders looking like a more of a tease?
Yeah. I would like how GI Joe does the name only. They go like digital renders and name only. I would love that. Like I said, especially in Star Wars and the Black Series and Vintage Collection. I really would love more insight on their thinking and stuff. And I know that sometimes Star Wars is very volatile. So they can throw a bunch of names on the board and we don't see the exact figures we want. And it's like everybody starts panicking and be like, oh, look, we're, so they keep everything very close to the chest and be like, we're not going to reveal because we don't want to scare anybody away. This is my thinking. That we're not doing the figures that, like like we've been saying forever, more droids and aliens, right? So just because they're not on the list doesn't mean they're not coming. But again, that's why I would love Pulse Con to utilize that forum and start talking to us and start answering it. Don't give us the question of, if you want it, just tell us, because I see it everywhere. I see it. Carson Teva. I've seen it even in the live stream, scrolling down during their stuff in the chat room. People are saying, so like, I don't know if it's not enough, or if start paying attention, but look us in the camera and say, we see you, we hear you. It's on the, like the Joe team. Everything is on the table. Like it's on the table. We might not get to it this year. We might not get to it like soon, but it's on the table. It's always something. And I would love that kind of communication.
I'm thinking the reason why that's done differently for the Joe team compared to why the Star Wars team is, they don't own the license. And so maybe they're at points where they're like, all right, how much can we reveal? What if there's a pivot through Disney? What if if Disney decides that they want Mattel to make figures now? So I'm sure there's a reason for it, but I think though, I would like to see digital renders of the characters only on the point is that, you'll see what those characters are. It may hype you up more. So when they actually do pop up and they're in actual real form, you're like, wow, that exceeded my expectation. Instead of like, they're like, okay, well, we'll get around this character, and then they just drop it on you. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people like, well, I'm not going to buy this figure. They had some extended universe stuff dropped. There's a lot of people who don't like the extended universe. So, it plays into it a little differently, man. Yeah.
You're right on that. Maybe the communication is it's not that it's not there. Maybe it takes a while for that to like, hey, there's a list of things that we want to do, and then Disney comes, or Lucasfilm comes and says, well, we want to push this product because we have a show and we want to push these around. So maybe a lot gets pushed behind even further and further and further. But I mean, like it's an interesting business these days, and you're 100% right. There's a huge difference between owning the IP and leasing the IP, and then you can't just kind of like, because I'm sure that there's team members there that just would love to do so many things, you know what I mean, like because of their influence or their love of it, which that's what I'm hoping the Star Wars team has, is people who know Star Wars and love Star Wars, and not just like marketing research and focus groups. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. So I know I talked to somebody a while ago, and my fear was kind of confirmed on that, on how Hasbro worked in the past. So it was like none of them know the Star Wars. Well, not the guys we see on the screen there, but most of the people working on it don't know who they're making. You know what I mean?
And there doesn't seem to be a passion on the non-IPs that they own. They don't have passionate people. And I think that's the difference. I think when Kenner had it in charge of the line, I think there was passion because Kenner lived and died on Star Wars.
Oh, that was that made Kenner.
But for them, it's G.I. Joe and Transformers. It's like they're not living and dying. So I did see, even on the live stream, the disconnect, because the Star Wars segment was probably the worst hosted segment.
Yeah, I always felt like, even in the past live streams, when they go and introducing, everybody loves it, this character, and I'm like, but you've done it 3 times in the past year and a half, and new sculpting, new tooling, again, like I said, I've always said there's a balance between every figure line out there about bringing in new collectors and making the older collectors happy, because it's a business and they have to grow with it. You know what I mean?
But I think they need a brand ambassador for each different line. Someone who is so definitely passionate, so when those items or characters pop on the screen, you can see the passion come off from that. So I think a brand ambassador for every line would help them in the process.
I want to see Vintage Collection and Black Series have 2 separate teams, 2 separate live stream teams that work solely on that, and you can concentrate on, like, this is the line that we're trying to revigorate or build on, flesh it out, and then you have the Vintage Collection team that does everything. And I do believe Black Series should be rebranded. I've always said that, because the term Black Series anymore, it's just lost, because that was supposed to be like the premium figure, because there was 3 3/4 Black Series figures. You know what I mean? And they dubbed it that, and it was expensive, premium, real sculpted figures. But the term Black Series on it nowadays, I think it needs to be rebranded into something else. Therefore, you can get these kind of new sculpts in. You don't have to redo the whole thing, just a new rebranding and a fresh attitude of like, all right, we're going to take a real close look at like A New Hope, or a real close look at The Mandalorian. Look at that scene back there and get those back, these world building, because Star Wars isn't about 5 characters. So.
No, it's not.
Rhino Hobby says, I like the new girl from the marketing team. Big step away from Patrick. Yes, 100%. Yes. She can announce a pink Rancor and I would put me mad. Yeah. I agree. I agree, Rhino, man. Whenever you see fresh faces, you're always kind of like, oh, here we go. Like, like I said, fresh eyes on the product and whatnot.
Exactly.
But no HasLab either announced, the Joe just ended. We always, and this is what always the thing about it, right? They had a teaser video of the Ecto 1.
They did.
And they said HasLab coming. Now, again, are they waiting for 10/27? Because
I think it's New York Comic Con.
Oh, New York. When is that?
I think it's coming soon.
Oh, wow.
So I believe it's New York Comic Con, because he said they were dispatching a bunch of team members and to New York Comic Con. So I'm like, maybe, and let's be honest, they needed to give us a little breathing room.
They do. I'm not mad at. And that's the whole thing. Like, I'm not mad at it. But it was almost like I said, no pipelines, no, and even all of the like the products. I mean, there was a couple like future hints of what we're doing, like Transformers doing Devastator, and then Joe. But like the Star Wars is like, here it is, and we want to do more, and that's what they left it at. But again, you're right. I'm cool if there's no HasLab until the end of the next year.
Yeah,
End
you
of
gotta cool it down a little bit, man. They've been taking everybody's pocketbook for a ride here.
Dude, yeah, just because again, Christmas is coming up, holidays are coming up, and it's like, all right, and Felipe, check it in. The Star Wars line deserves the same treatment Legends gets. I agree.
Absolutely, Felipe. Absolutely.
They always, like, the Legends group always takes a very hard line. They're not afraid to pivot. That's the one thing I will credit them, because they're not afraid to pivot. They're like, all right, when they do a wave, it's a wave of figures, and those waves make sense, like Age of Apocalypse or Uncanny X-Men. They kind of flesh out these characters, these lines, and they do like wave 1, 2, and 3. When Star Wars comes out, as you'll see when we get into our reveals and stuff, it's very scatterbrained.
Plus, the Marvel Legends team, they are passionate members. They know the products and the characters, and they're constantly reciting from this issue and that, and you could feel it in that. They've got to move some of these other lines towards. And I thought the Transformer line had a disconnect as well. I thought Star Wars had a little bit of disconnect, and I thought the D&D team also had a little bit of a disconnect as well.
The D&D team was an infomercial. It was an infomercial, and again, it's updated player handbooks, which is cool, but it was a half an hour of like, I'm like,
and there's so many Hollywood stars that actually do play D&D that they could have really got some heavy hitters, because there's a big Hollywood game that they do certain nights of the week with actors that play D&D, so they could have gotten some really good kind of hints.
Last year they revealed some of those little toys, like some they were almost like Transformers, right? They always had some sort of product that they're pushing. I don't know. This could be a little bit of a recess and again, we can look at it as a positive on all aspects and say, like, look, a little bit of a regrouping is good to kind of like take a step back, because again, you can strangle a line to death. You really can. But take a step back and like take a breather and go, all right, look, maybe we're a little too aggressive here, or maybe we're just not hitting the marks here. I think they, again, as fans, we always look at the energy behind a product versus how well it sells, right? And of course, they're a business, and they're going to look at almost the opposites, right? How much, like the Rattler, 10,000 backers in 24 hours, but on their metrics are like, it was a great success, and then like there's a lot of things in between that signaled a lot, but but anyway, and again, it all translates to every line they have. Rhino Hobbies is saying makes sense that it would be in New York Comic Con. The Firehouse is there. Ghostbusters takes place there. Cool. Make it, like I said, that event, right?
I'm sure, because remember at San Diego Comic Con, they actually revealed the Rattler. You were able to see it. That drove up a lot of videos and a lot of things on Instagram and everything. So I could see them doing the same kind of ploy for New York Comic Con, if it's, because we all know that the 1/12 version of the Ecto 1's coming. They've showed it, they teased it. I'm sure that's probably where they're going to drop it at. And I want them to continue that plasma line, that 6-inch plasma line. Like, I have them all. I even have the comic, the exclusives, and I'm like, oh, this is great. So where's Ghostbusters 2, right? Like, where's Vigo? Where's like all these, the Librarian, all that stuff. Let's go, right? Like, I always look into every line as like, am I gonna start collecting? Is my determination or is my feeling of how deep they go into the line. You know what I mean? Yeah, if Ghostbusters line gives me a Ray Parker Jr. and a Bobby Brown, they got me, man.
Let's go. Bobby Brown, Doorman, Ray Parker, and then doing the whole, like, come on, dude. Rhino, I think Lucasfilm is more strict with the license than Marvel is. They hold it a little too close to the chest, but like just taking Black Series example, it's 10 years strong. It's going on 10 years now, and like I said, there's zero reason for us not to have more figures that were in almost the second wave of the Kenner back in 1980. True. And we don't even have those. Not even like I said, we just got Hammerhead, 10 years in the making. Great, I love it. He went open right away. Put him. I have 3 figures with my Cantina set. That's it. You know what I mean? And that's like, you're like, come on, man. We're speaking with our wallets. We're the old school guys. We love this stuff, And yes, I love Clone Troopers, but you know what? I'm more inclined to buy Snaggletooth than I am another clone lieutenant or commander. By the way, I did pre-order all the clone that came out.
Of course, we knew that. We knew that.
Yeah, so Felipe, I just need my real Ghostbusters 6 inches and I'm done. Yeah. I actually went and I bought the remakes of them. I have them all. It's so cool. It's funny. I haven't opened any of them. I even have Ecto 1. But I'm just waiting to build some sort of space for it or some shelf for it. But
yeah, and that's the
6 inch would be awesome.
That would be great, man. Love that style.
Yeah, Gordon, I am there with you, man. This is why I hold things in like I kind of like I'm scared as a buyer to get into a line. Like Gordon is saying, he's a little disappointed they haven't continued the indie line. 2 figures would have made all the difference. Willie and Molarum. That's and I would have continued. So Rhino Hobbies, Neil, still that Luke and Leia look really good, and finally that Commando droid. I'll be ordering some stands for. Thank you, Rhino.
He's right, and you definitely need to be ordering those stands, brother.
yeah, and he did, and I appreciate it so much. Let's get into the reveals and stuff we got into because there is that Luke and Leia, which I'm actually really excited for. In our intro, you see everybody notices all the Farm Boy Lukes. Well, that is a running joke between the collecting community from 1999, because they kept reissuing Farm Boy Luke and reissuing it. I mean, 17 different integrations of it, and it was kind of like, okay, enough's enough. And they give us another one this last week, but this one's cool.
Better scope on this one.
It's so cool. All right, guys. So all you cosplayers, we have the armor helmet that was released and looks good. They even had Emily Swallow do a whole review of it. It's cool. I don't buy these. I know Scott does. To me personally, I like to make my own helmets, 3D printed. For cosplay because I want it to be 100% screen accurate, and of course I want it to fit. And some of these are very
well, they're more costume.
Costume, something that you would buy at something I buy at Spirit Halloween to play the armor,
And I can't tell you how many people immediately, when I was watching the Pulse Con live stream, like, oh, there needs to be more ridges in this, maybe a little bit more of a distressed look on that.
But you could do that. A lot of
people were like really kind of already taking a hit, and I was like, customize it. Just
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Customize it.
Exactly what I would do. I would take it, strip it, repaint it into something I would do. Yeah. But there's a market for it. These helmets seem to be good. The helmets have always been a thing since Don Post back in the day. Yeah. Let's see what that's Rhino. When Emily said some of her lines while wearing the helmet. Yeah, I because it sounded just like it. She did that. I was cool. Like, oh,
that was cool.
That was that's what you were talking about. Having a celebrity introduce somebody who's in that, introduced that product and made it all personal for all of us.
You know how many items they probably sold just for that? Just for that,
like I said, especially hearing her in the helmet doing it. And so I think that's why these events should happen. It's something more personal and exciting rather than just a live stream that I can just catch. And I don't want, like I said, we're fans of Hasbro. Like, we really like their products, you know what I mean, and we want them to succeed, and that's bottom line. Because if they lose I know there's a lot of people out there that want Hasbro to or the Star Wars IP to go to somewhere else. You know what I mean? And I have a couple of thoughts. Like I said, I've said it before, is that I think their technology is top notch. When they want to dedicate something in their life, they really do it, and it really looks really good. Like, you'll see, it looks really good. And I don't want to do this hobby and wait for another company to catch up with that. So,
it's like, Hasbro, the Black Series has probably some of the best details, and the same thing with the Marvel Legend and the Classified line. And there are a lot of great companies out there doing as well. Look, I think Valaverse is doing great figures. I think Ramen and a bunch of other companies, NECA, but I think Hasbro, being that they actually purchased Kenner,
Yeah.
It's still in the homes of the guys that really kind of cared about the franchise.
That's what I like.
You
Yes,
know,
exactly.
so,
It was the same family, right?
mhm.
It carries a torch. Yeah. Let's jump over to the vintage collection real
All
fast.
right.
I'd be doing a disservice to Scott if I didn't mention the vintage collection.
Mhm.
These are our reveals. Okay, we got 5 figures. And then everybody let me know if I miss one. But these were presented and available for pre-order right now. You
Yeah.
have the Ahsoka flashback Anakin.
Yep.
That's a great figure. It looks great too.
Mhm.
I know they got the clone sergeant, the
Yep.
blue. That's been in, like I said, Black Series. It's
Of
great.
course.
We have Deidre from Andor.
Andor. Yeah.
Luke Skywalker Tatooine. Again, more
There you
Tatooine
go.
figures make a lot of sense. You
It
know?
does. It does.
Yeah. And then is it Adari? Okay. Carrie Ann Moss from Acolyte.
Yeah.
This kind of confirms that they're still producing Acolyte figures. I know she was pipelined
Yeah.
from
Mhm.
before, but they're not stopping it, and it's gonna come out. We got a play set,
Yes.
and again,
Yes, we
I'm
do.
sorry if this doesn't do it justice, but the street Tatooine play set for the vintage
Yes.
collection that
Mhm.
plugs and plays right into
The cantina.
the cantina,
It does.
like
It does.
seamlessly right into it. You had
Extremely
mentioned
smart.
before on HasLabs how there's the HasLab and there's the support.
The support team.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
the support team
Mhm.
after,
Yeah.
and this is and that's why I'm like, all right, that's awesome because they're doing
Mhm.
exactly what the Joe teams are doing, right? Like they
Mhm.
have the Rattler, and they're gonna have support teams for it. I like that, and I feel that like I was sitting there going like, finally something that makes sense in the line of back to back. You had that cantina. Now let's add on
Exactly.
to it and make this
Mhm.
huge playset. I'm thrilled. Even though I don't collect vintage collection, I was thrilled. I was like, this is good. It's a
This
good
was
move.
I don't do vintage collection, but the Jawa is always one of my favorite characters from Star
Yeah,
Wars.
it comes with a Jawa too. Yeah,
I love their look and everything. They're always comical, and they're just I
yeah,
love them,
absolutely.
especially through the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
But when I saw
Yes.
this set and everything, I was like, wow. First of all, if you bought the cantina, it's a perfect complement to it.
Yeah. Yep.
Very smart for them to do this
Yeah.
because when they had the standard set and the deluxe version, it was just another side of the bar.
Right.
Well, this kind of gives you like, well, there's another side of the bar, and then there's a street view.
Yeah. Yeah.
Extremely smart. Second is that there are some people that are just they don't want to have like something like a cantina size. So
Right.
this fits on the shelf extremely well. They can build some characters
Yeah.
walking down the street. You can it's all there. Have a little have a land speeder come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It works on smaller shelf situations.
Yeah.
So if they're gonna plan to do this with their releases, this is smart. This is what they need to continue to do.
It's a great step forward. It's a
Yeah.
great move, and it is a different direction from before, where they would kind of like release something and then move on to something else.
Yeah.
They've been doing more of these hallway play
Yes.
sets, like a 3 pieces. And again, the Tatooine one makes perfect sense.
It does.
Goes with the HasLab. They also promised. They got that poster, and it had the cantina entry. It had this Tatooine wall thing. It had all the figures associated with the HasLab and everything, and then that Luke Skywalker and that new Jawa. And they said they're gonna build on that image, that Tatooine image, and everybody's like, okay, that's great, because what is missing outside of that, and that more that world building, scatter terrain, whatever it is. It's exciting. Again, it's even exciting for me, to even watch that happen. They even said there's hints in that photograph, and like I said, we'll let Scott really dive into it when he's here to do it, because I'm sure that he can eagle eye a lot of the things.
Oh,
but they
I'm
said
sure.
there's a lot of there's a lot of hints in that picture of what's to come, and people notice these huge tracks coming through, and they're like, "Oh, Soundcrawler!" Like, I mean, a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure, and like so also, I need to have the casino with that Black Chrysanthemum was in.
Yeah, why not?
I need to have that across the street. It's like, give me more of this building and everything, and it will probably look. I was on the fence about this playset, and I was like, I think I'm going to pull the trigger on my first vintage collection one. I think this is something I want to have on my shelf somewhere.
It is something that is more versus like what I have, just figures on a shelf.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
adds
And
a little
that's where
something to it.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like always clamoring for, like, I want to live in the world in like I
Yes.
love action figures, but at the same
Mhm.
time, I'm trying to get like with the Black Series, I'm trying to get into like putting them there in their environments that
Exactly.
it's great. I was like when they released this Tatooine thing, I'm all, man, there's people are gonna need rooms just dedicated to Tatooine because
Oh,
if they're gonna expand on
my
that,
goodness.
then let's go. Then
Can you
yeah.
imagine like a center table with
Yeah.
sand on it and everything? You put all the, I could see it happening.
Yeah,
And
as
you
soon
know
as
what?
those
Look,
is hit and this
yeah,
comes, yeah, you watch the dioramas people build.
but this is what they need to move into because I
Yeah,
think fans
I
have
did.
really, like, we grew up in the playset era,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and I think a lot of the older and newer fans, because the one thing this set does, and the one thing I will give Vintage Collection their props on, that's playability.
yes, yes,
That's something that
yeah,
kids could come down. It's a play set. They've got some characters. You can start breeding those new fans that are growing up.
yeah, and
This is what the
$60
more
price
toy
tag.
line needs. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
sixty
which is
dollar
a
price
great
tag. It's
Christmas
not
present or birthday present.
absolutely,
It's
yeah.
right there.
Comes with a card of Jawa.
Yes.
$60 thing for 3 sections, and they're mobile or they're modular, right? So you can
Yes.
put them, tee it off and grab a couple sets and make a whole street vendor merchant thing. And I think that's great. Like I said, that's what Vintage Collection does
They do
fantastically
it
is
great.
world building. They really, I mean, it's a scale that you can do it. You know what I mean?
Yes, of course.
With Black Series, they're going to have to depend on the dioramas versus a play set.
That
So
or the 3D sculptors out there. Because again, the 3D sculptors are the ones, look, and I think that, and I'm glad that happens as well.
yeah,
Because I do think there's a lot of inventful guys out there that's coming up with, like, like the Tashi Station and with the backgrounds and everything else. I've
yeah,
seen
yeah,
all these great things from the Facebook groups that these guys are printing on their
100%.
own.
Yeah,
And you're like, wow, you can make your place at your own. Maybe Hasbro doesn't need to get in that.
yeah,
Because can you imagine the amount of money that place that would have been if it was 1/12 scale?
yeah. Yeah, I know.
So,
That's what I'm saying. It like the play set wise, it's
yeah.
tough. It's a tough sale. It's a tough scale to do it, and
Mhm.
I totally understand.
Yeah.
And that's why I said the third parties out there are
Mhm. They're
really
doing
do like Lance
fantastic.
Peter Luke that really does a
Yes.
fantastic job. And they put these little diorama pieces so you can get that sense of
Yes.
environment with it without a huge, $200 play set that for
And
Black.
they're doing them very modular too. So you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
add on to certain things.
Customization
Look,
is key. Absolutely key.
so I think leave it for the customizers. It's the
Yeah.
exact same thing like the car industry. There
Yeah, yeah.
are, like, they make certain parts for no Mopar, and then there's a lot of other
Yeah.
Edelbrock and smaller other companies that
Yeah.
put the actual products in, and they allow cars to be customizable. I
Yep.
think they should allow the 1/12 figures and the scale of that to be customizable.
Yep. Yep. That's one of Tashi Station's mission statement is
Mhm.
customization. Yeah.
It's a great one, man. It's a great
Yeah.
one.
Warden is saying how definitely would grab the Anakin and Black Series version.
Yes.
Same.
Great
Absolutely the
looking
same.
figure.
Anything from that episode of Ahsoka, I will buy
Wow.
everything.
Yes.
It's so good. Rhino Hobbies. I skipped the cantina because of space. I will be
Everyone
picking up
probably
this
did.
playset. Yeah, absolutely. Again, it's an alternate version of it. So
Exactly.
where also Rhino, like you could probably find 3D printers that'll make the entrance facade of the cantina. So it'll go
Exactly.
right in there where you don't have to have the interior and
Mhm.
it'll go right, so keep an eye out on Tashi Station. Maybe.
I think that needs to happen, man. That needs to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, just the facade of the entries. Rhino Hobby says I'm married to Black Series, but Vintage Collection is my mistress. Yeah.
All the time, man. I'm about to start cheating with her.
Yeah, I mean, especially when it comes to these play sets, like
Yes,
I love
wow.
environments, right? And I'm
I
not
love the play
necessarily
sets.
going to be going backwards and collecting all the 3 3/4 again, but when it comes to like a very specific staged area,
Yes.
I'm like, okay, I'll do that, and then I'll buy all the figures associated with that,
Yeah.
and then have a scene,
And when they come with some figures as well, that will equally get you down that rabbit hole of buying the other figures.
Yeah. Gordon, I agree with you wholeheartedly like this, and just like what Alex is saying, the 3D printers out there and the customizer have this in mind too. But a set or build environment thing would be amazing too.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, even if it's scatter terrain, even if it's like I said, they gave us a piece of the cantina, so give us a little bit more. It doesn't have to be like a whole fleshed out thing, but a little bit more.
It reminds me of like, remember back in the day when you used to, like, this is showing our age, but the Hallmarks, whenever they had like a scene or something, they would add on every year or so, and they add a different scene to it. I think that, like, their Return to Tatooine, they could keep adding scenes and situations, and like, I think that's a smart way of doing it, and it just expands a little bit more. And if you got the space, you can buy the bigger stuff. If you don't, you can buy the smaller stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You give them the options, right? People with like that want to do that big big spaces, and then you have facades and little like scatter train to still kind of hit those markets. You know what I mean? So let's go into the Black Series. There's actually 6 figures. I only got 5 on here, but one of them that I missed was Dagon from the Gaming Greats, the one-armed guy that's in there. I missed him on this slide, but he is not. So that Luke and Leia will be available on the 18th.
Yes.
So Thursday. Yeah. Okay. So that Farm Boy Luke, that Leia, they're not soft goods. They are, not hard plastic, but like opposable plastic.
Yeah.
I appreciate this so much because I can't stand my Black Series Luke and Leia because they look like marshmallows. They are the soft goods just don't translate, and I'm so happy about these 2 figures coming in. I am definitely getting them. That would be my I already have the SH figure arts, both of those, and those are my definitive, right? But I have different scenes I want to put these in, opposed to the SH.
I know the Luke Skywalker is coming home with me, man.
Yeah. It looks great. They're finally nailing the likeness a little bit more. It's not completely there, but it's the best that I've seen.
Yes.
Of course, we've got the Clone Wars, one of the commandos and the army, and then of course we have Coyote-Mundy's Sergeant Commando.
And with that Clone War character, that's a soft good too, so you can see the difference. And somehow the soft goods, I think maybe because they're not using a more harsher texture, they look a little flimsy, and over time I could see them disintegrating a little bit. I don't mind the plastic.
Personally, I don't like soft goods. Like I said, they just never. I mean, when it's a combination of hard and soft, like plastic, when like the Emperor Palpatine that they came out with Episode 3, that was a perfect kind of like combination of it. But the man of the hour, the one that got all the all of me excited is Prince Shizor from Shadows of the Empire. First off, it is a spectacular looking figure.
It is.
It is. Like if I had it in my hands for this year, for 2024, I would very, very hard pressed to have it figure of the year for Star Wars. Like honestly, because what they showed, the sculpt of it, I mean, it was perfect. It was a perfect figure.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Even his he has a ponytail and 2 little ponytails like side of his neck. They're even articulated. You know what I mean? So
they took it extra on this one.
They did, and there was a lot of respect and love that went into it. 2 things. This is 001 of Shadows of the Empire line with that side art. So that tells you they're starting. They're gonna flesh out the Shadows of the Empire line, and Amazon kind of confirmed it. It was kind of leaked on accident, but in the description it says Prince Shizor joined Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and Dash Render.
Of course, somebody had to run it out there, didn't they?
Yeah, so it was confirmed that they're going to run the line of Shadows, and everybody's here for it. If that 001 didn't give it away, Amazon's description gave it away, and we're here for it. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing too, though. The extended universe was one where remember at one point that they said they weren't going to actually, that wasn't canon, and then they said it was canon.
Yeah,
and I was glad they did because there's a lot of hardworking individuals that wrote a lot of those novels and books and source material for it. But to see this, because correct me if I'm wrong, I think we might have seen it only in comic book.
It was
novel artwork, right?
His name is canon. Basically, the race is his species is because they were in comic books.
Yeah.
And also Prince Shizor was name dropped in the if I believe the Kira comics.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
now you have the first time seeing it in all 3D glory.
Yeah,
which that's amazing. I would love to see more of those characters.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to give me, you know, like I said, you know, heir to the empire. You got to give me a couple of those characters. That means there's more lines coming, just like they did for the gaming verse line, which I love those characters.
Yeah.
So I kind of like the way they're rolling with this one.
I do too, man. Like Shadows of the Empire is an anomaly. It came out in a time where Canner reintroduced the power of the Force 2 figures. And then they decided to do this bridge of Empire and Return in between. So there was a 6-part comic book that came out, a novel that came out, a soundtrack. And then so you had like this media blitz of a Lucas driven, you know, I don't think he had directly involvement in it, but it was a Lucasfilm driven thing that was for the first time you had so many media, like I said, a media blitz, and then a line of figures. And the line of figures were only like 6 figures in a couple vehicles, like, you know, outright Rider, Slave One, a swoop bike. You had a couple of those 2-pack comics that pitted like IG-88 and Boba Fett with the comic book. And then you had like 4 or 5 figures that came out. So it's a very small, but such an exciting little subline of figures, and in the story, the history of the EU in itself. So for Hasbro now to come back and say, look, Prince Shizor is here. They're doing a dash render. They're going to be doing these things. It hits the nostalgic, because again, it's not everybody's favorite. Oh, there's a video game associated with it too. Okay. It's not everybody's favorite because there's some wonky storylines in it, but it's so nostalgic for us, and it was something that a lot of people were involved into it, and had some crazy looking figures like Chewbacca with the bounty hunter. He had a flat top with a little cybernetic eyeball. It's just such a cool thing to now, like, all right, we're gonna revisit this. You know what I mean? And
if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that? I think that was after Marvel had lost the license and Dark Horse had it for the comics.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. So here's the thing. If you have those books,
I have them.
Now would be the time for anyone out in the chat to start picking those up, because when you start making these figures, those books are probably going to go up a little bit more in price.
They will.
Well.
You watch eBay, like you call it Evil Bay. You watch these. I have the 6-part comics. I have them signed by the creators. I went to Comic-Con and had them sign it. You know, the artist and the storyboard. I have the book. I had it, everything. Like, and I still have it. And
material's only going to go up, man.
Man. I'm here for it. I think we're all here for it. Prince Shizor looks amazing, especially if they take that figure now and put him in canon proper, meaning like, let's get a live action Prince Shizor. The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, it's perfect. He's in charge of Black Sun, the criminal organization that you know, Darth Maul once ruled over with Crimson Dawn doing everything, and you know, it's all there. And I think we always look at, like, on our Wednesday shows, we get into like these breakdowns of like, all right, the figure, you know, we go like, all right, Prince Shizor, all right, now we got this. Now, where is he going to fit in this canon timeline, right? And that's always the fun part, speculating everything. But I'm gonna have a little section off for my Shadows.
I'm sure.
You know what I mean? It's gonna be so cool because again, Luke is. They'll probably do the. He was in this guard outfit, this red crimson guard outfit. Leia will be a Bosch Leia. Dash render, brand new character, strictly for Shadows. He's that Han Solo character kind of. And of course, if they do the flat top Chewbacca, let's go. I'm here for it. And then to give us some like a swoop bike and everything. I mean, this.
And that's what
earning money at this point.
I enjoy that even with my display, because there's certain times, especially with Joe stuff, like a lot of the old Marvel comics, I'll put in display and everything. Well, you've got like comics and a book and then the characters. Like sometimes you add a little extra with all the extra flair to your displays. And that just fits in right there. I know a couple of guys that have Star Wars collection. They have a lot of the video games. They actually have the gaming game artwork and everything, and the actual display with the characters. So It just adds a little bit more to the collectability of them.
Yeah, I love seeing people's collections and what they
I
do with it, how they
I do.
organize it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, this is great. I think like me personally, I don't do a lot of the gaming greats or the comic characters that they come out with, but something like this, all in, because that was a pinnacle part of collecting back in the day. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the interesting point is through Book of Fett. I had a buddy of mine that worked on that the Doc Alpha series.
Yeah.
And they had Black Chrysanthemum in it.
Yeah.
And so before he had to hit the screen, I saw him years before, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, this is a cool Wookiee." And then when I saw him hit Book of Fett, and I was like, "Oh my god!" They actually took the character off the pages to the screen, and I thought that was fantastic. So I'd love to see them jump from media to media.
Yes. I think it's fantastic. And again, the world that Lucasfilm and Disney is building off, where everything is canon nowadays, like comic books, and so it all is like everything's a possibility, right? Exactly. Everything. It's that what I think a lot of times we want them to start plucking EU, and they are. Thrawn was a huge one. Like I said, let's put Shizor into it properly. Like this is my hope, Alex. Like Skeleton Crew comes out, and I know I'm getting into like Sarlacc talk, but Skeleton Crew comes out in December. I want the big reveal to be two people, Hondo and Prince Shizor. If those two are in it, it's gonna change the face of people talking about that series. No matter what, because again, it propels them into future projects.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And they've been doing that pretty good lately. They've been having a couple of drop characters, like, hey, T's here, and down the line you might see them.
Like I said, it might serve as fan service at first, but then when you start putting them into the show properly, and to like they got to start over here, it makes all the difference between people's enjoyment, especially taking things like this, Shadows into like the characters. Now I know there's a lot of people, like Scott does not want Shadows of the Empire to be in canon properly, because again, there's some wonky things that are going on there. Prince Shizor is a wonky character, but he's awesome at the same time. He's got like these pheromones that make you fall in love with them. He's like a crazy, he's it's just a cool. But Black Sun was introduced. It was great. I want and here's the thing, they don't on the Shadows. They don't have to go deep, because the original line didn't go deep. The original line only had like I said, a handful of things, right? But if it's a 001, the Shizor, and say they have, like I said, 3 other characters that were name dropped by Amazon, you got 4 right there, and they're not going to miss out on that flat top Chewbacca. They're, and so that in a swoop gang, bikers, they can start.
Well, there's like Star Wars is one of the better IPs where there are different fractions, and I know guys that are like hugely into the extended universe.
Yeah,
and it's like that's the only thing that had mattered outside of the original trilogy.
Yeah,
so hey, you vote with your pocketbooks. If
absolutely,
it's out there and it does it right, they'll be making more characters. They'll be diving into more books.
Yeah. So, I guarantee you, because Shizor looks like he could fit into anything. You could buy him and put him right in a Marvel, like even playability. Like he's one of those characters. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like once people get in their hands, I'll be surprised that it doesn't start really flying off the shelves. Like really going like, all right, and it brings attention to like, what's Shadows? What's this? Go in, like I said, they start to rediscover things.
Go back and read it.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. Smart decision.
Yeah. There was one interesting thing I got in my email this week, and it was Thrawn from Ahsoka that we were pre-ordered earlier this year, and it said 2025. Well, I got my shipping soon notification. I was like, that's a surprise, dude. Like we were not expecting that until for like 6 months from now. Like really, and I was one of those things like, well, that's a year. Look at how far it is. Now I got my emails stating it's coming, and that's gonna be.
Well, they've done this every time, brother. How many times have they done this to us? Where they're like, "Oh, it's gonna be August," and then next year you get that bulletin in May, like it's coming.
They do that. Under promise, over deliver.
Exactly,
and that's fine. You know what I mean?
But here's the thing: were you disappointed? No, you want to see that character.
Yeah.
So
I was like, I hit everybody. I have and chat like Thrawn's coming early. I was like, wait until next year for this character to come. Yeah, it's gonna be cool, and I that makes me wonder if Ahsoka. Well, no, we know that Ahsoka 2 is gonna be after.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's going into So all these speculations, but yeah, it's the fandom, the collecting survived. They survived COVID. The whole dip on the stuff. It's coming back stronger. I believe. I think I do feel a different energy behind the collecting and their reveals. Like sometimes they're almost giving us like with that Luke and Leia. Those are probably the last ones, unless it's an archive, like to catch people up.
Yeah,
It's probably going to be the last ones they do because we've got which I call the marshmallow ones, the cloth goods. Now we're getting the this version of it. I like that when it becomes that definitive character. Now, what I don't like is spending paying for 5 figures to get to that one. You know what I mean? Because I have 5 Lukes before this to get to the definitive one, and that's where the frustrations come in. Like that's why again our intro's that Farm Boy Luke, because they did that to us from day one. It was so many iterations of it, and it was kind of like, all right, if you're just gonna have me buy, because completionist, you're just gonna have me buy the same figures, and you just give them one little accessory at a time, you're gonna disenfranchise people. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And also too, one aspect that I think we have the time and technology. And you get time and technology, and I understand that. Look, it's there's certain characters that it's just like even in the Batman line, there's gonna be hundreds of Batmans.
Yeah,
they're just gonna keep dumping it, and they don't care what versions. I think also in Star Wars, it's like it's Han, Luke, it's Leia, it's Chewie. And
you're always gonna have those.
You're gonna drop 50 of those characters all the time. But you appreciate when the technology catches up.
Yeah,
and the characters look better because these two are almost screen accurate. You're like,
these
characters look like they jumped off the screen.
100%. When Black Series first came out 10 years ago, and I was in my collecting lull. I mean, I stopped collecting for a long time. I heard in Star Wars Insider or Toy Fair magazine that a 6-inch line was coming out, and I said, hey, this might be my gateway back in. Exactly. And then I saw the first wave at Target, and I saw Princess Leia and Luke, and I was like, no, these are horrible. Nobody's gonna buy these. These are horrible. And so I put them back, and those figures are like a couple $100 to me.
Oh yeah.
But I was like, no, it was the technology had to come up with the concept, or catch up with the concept. You know what I mean? And I think now it's if they release a figure, we know the confidence is there that it's going to be an amazing sculpt. It's going to be something that you proudly put on your shelf. And any kind of reissue of it's going to be in the archive to get new collectors involved into it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because there's always a miss out factor. There's always someone who, like yourself, did not start from wave 1.
Right.
That might be deep into the line and be like, I wish I had those characters. A card back or like a vintage version of it. It's always good to have it every now and then.
Yeah. Gordon, I bought them. Yeah. Here's the things, Gordon. I have them now. Because again, when I got into the Black Series, I went backwards and I bought everything. Fortunately, I didn't have to pay hundreds. Scott.
Oh, okay.
I bought Leia at retail, so I bought that slave Leia for $20. Where he was generous enough to sell me one. Years after it came out, so I have those figures. I know they redid Dagobah Luke, which was fantastic. That turned me off, man. I looked at it, I go, these are horrible. These are absolutely horrible. I'm not buying them. But like I said, I'm very happy. If anybody wanted to get into Black Series today, I'd be like, you're lucky. I know there's a lot to buy, but you're lucky because you're getting some great figures. You don't have to wait 5 years for a great Luke anymore.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Absolutely, they look great. The sculpts are great. The box work has changed. So even the artwork on them has kind of updated. So this is the perfect time for someone who's not a completist.
Right.
That's right. To get into it.
Hasbro makes it. I'm saying right now, it didn't take me long to catch up, man. Really, because I went to like comic conventions and stuff, and I would eBay. Even sometimes eBay they would sell like a lot of figure, a lot, and then you spend $70, but you'd get like some real cool like Walgreens exclusives within that. And so I caught up that way. You know, Amazon sometimes has it for like $7 to $10. I mean, you can
Every now
catch
and then
up.
there's a warehouse sale or something, but you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
The best way is to get to some of these local
Mhm.
conventions,
Yeah,
and there's just a lot of guys that, maybe somebody bought 10 of them and
yeah.
they have an overflow. That's where you're gonna get most of
I
your
bought a lot
majority
of
of
Black
deal from.
Series. Yeah, I caught
Yep,
up on a lot of Black Series that way, you
yep.
know. Um, so I'm saying that there's always a pathway to it. Yeah, we're
Mhm.
enablers, man. So if there's always a pathway to. We'll show you how to spend your money.
Hey,
Um,
we're trying to get people to chase that plastic dragon.
yeah, yeah, man. You know, life is boring if we don't have something like this, right? I mean, it's just like
Get
I
you
want to
in,
come
man.
home and then rest and go back to. I want to come home and then stare at these guys,
Mhm,
dust them, put them up,
mhm.
open new ones. Yeah, it's fun. It's our thing, and it's always great, man. So let's wind down here. We're gonna
Okay.
expect, of course, we'll be talking about more reveals. I'm sure there's gonna be some random drops here and there, Black
Mhm,
Series, and they always do that to us. All of a sudden, we'll
mhm.
just find out like, you know, oh, here's another two figures that
Exactly.
dropped. Or
Mhm,
so anybody who wants that Leia, Luke, and that Dagon figure, the 18th is Thursday. Was it the 18th? They will go on pre-order then, and I think it's at 1 o'clock Eastern time. So what, 10 o'clock our time Pacific,
yeah, mhm.
and yeah, so you can get those figures, pre-order them, and they're not exclusive, so I'm sure they're gonna be everywhere. Big Bad and Entertainment Earth, Amazon.
Now,
Uh,
Amazon's gonna be the problem because 'cause I'll tell you something, like I said, if you're probably gonna have to do that because I don't know if you ran into a problem, I've ran into a problem. Sometimes when you definitely go through, maybe look for people's affiliate links, because whenever I
yeah.
try to search for it on Amazon
Oh
and
yes.
I can't find it, so I'll have to go to, like, we have affiliate link or someone else will have affiliate link,
Yeah.
and then I can find it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. You
yeah.
can't type it in the description. You'll never
No,
find it. You'll never find
no.
the figure. Yeah.
You'll be
Yeah.
spending hours and it'll be selling out. You'll be jumping mad at that point. So
Yeah.
look for someone that you trust is out there that you like, affiliate,
Yeah.
and just go through their Amazon link and you'll probably find those characters the way that need to be.
Absolutely. Great point. Great tip. Yeah, because if you're going the Amazon route, but like Big
Mhm.
Bad should have it, Entertainment, Earth, like I said, these are mainline figures, so
Yeah,
they're not
Hasbro
exclusive. So
Pulse,
yeah,
you
Pulse
know.
will have them.
Mhm.
I don't expect them to sell out because again, this is Dagon might sell out. But I don't
Nah,
know about Luke and Leia. I don't know.
you know
Maybe,
what?
maybe.
This is a better sculpt.
Yeah,
I,
maybe it's
maybe we'll throw that in, like maybe 2 weeks from now when we jump back on. We'll
yeah.
see how those sold because I have a feeling with better sculpts,
Yes.
then all the other collectors that have them be like, well, wait a minute, I want a nicer sculpt.
Well, just like
That
I have the
that
SH
might go
figure
out.
arts, right? I
Mhm.
have the definitive Luke and Leia, and they're perfect figures, but
Yeah.
I want these. I want them too on top
Do
of it.
not be surprised if they sell out.
Yeah.
Do not be surprised.
Yeah. So I'm always, I mean, minute one, boom, I'm there. I always, I pre-order everything. I never, I have the FOMO. I don't miss out.
Yep.
And if I find him in the wild, I'll just cancel and then buy it that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually, or I'll do something if I have to order it from like Big Bad or Entertainment Earth or something, and then Amazon comes, and I know that because it's
Yeah.
I'm ordering through California, then it's
Yeah.
going to be a little cheaper than having it come from like New Jersey or some other place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's always good to remember that hey, saving it $1 or $2, $3 and everything goes towards some other figures.
Yes, absolutely. Or the next HasLab. Oh my
Or
God.
yes,
Because I don't think it's gonna be a vintage collection. It's gonna be a Black Series HasLab if it's the next Star Wars one, or
Mm.
it might be that made to order kind of stuff, which
I think it's
I
going to be
want that.
something made to order, and I can almost guarantee, and I'll tease this almost.
Yeah.
I got a feeling it's going to be the Rancor.
Yeah.
I got a feeling
Yes.
it's gonna be the Rancor for a made to order. Watch.
Yeah. Rancor made to order makes perfect sense. We've already heard rumors of it for a while
Mhm.
ago that it was coming
They've
back in
already
some.
made the mold.
If and it'd be there. It'll be a great comeback story.
It would.
It'll.
It would
I
be.
need a 2-foot Rancor
Mhm.
sitting there. I will knock off that shelf right there and I'll make this whole
I'm telling
scene.
you.
You watch. You give me the
I
tools, Hasbro. I'll make it happen.
Once I saw that Dragon Man, I said, "This is the
Yes.
best way that you can throw back in the Rancor," and
Yes.
be like, "Okay." But here's the thing:
Do it.
that made to order, I guarantee you, people will be buying double of that Rancor. That
Yeah.
Rancor's sell better than the first time they did it through the HasLab. Watch.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be huge, brother.
Yeah. What's the price range you think?
Well, Dragon Man was right around what 84, somewhere around.
$89. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got a feeling it could be towards that price range or a little
If
cheaper than that?
if it's cheaper than that, it'd be that would that I'm my think that's I'm thinking 150.
I
It's a
don't
it's
I
a
don't think because of the fact
yeah.
is that it did not go through with the HasLab.
I mean, it's bigger than that Rancor. Yeah, without the right, it's not going to have any
Without
of
this,
those
it
things,
won't
right?
have
That's fine.
anything.
We
It'll
don't
just be the
need any of it.
Rancor.
Yeah, just be
I
it.
can see it, well,
Yeah.
at least under $100. But
Wow, if
they
it's
want to
under
get
100, then that's
they want to
fantastic.
get
But
this made to order thing right, they're going to do it just like Dragon Man. And like
yeah,
I said, you're going to make it at a price range that people can stomach and get.
I agree.
And you know,
But
I
yeah,
no tears.
yeah. I'm hoping it's that cheap. But
I got a villain.
if that's cool, yeah, I'm buying two. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Because what I'm gonna do is I'll make one for Return of the Jedi, and I'll make one for
Yep.
I'll make a saddle and stuff, and put Boba Fett on top, and make one for Boba Fett, of course.
There you go.
Paint one different, make it a bull. Yeah, it's just so many options.
If it doesn't come with that already.
Yeah. Wow. I like the way you think. So we got 1027 to look forward to. If they do anything, I'm sure they will. We've got New York Comic Con because they have announcements there. As of that, I think they usually do a live stream around December to kind of kick off the new year and stuff like that. So we still have some
good events.
We still have some. Yeah. It's never too early to start thinking about figure of the year that came out for Star Wars Vintage Collection and Black Series. I'm gonna have to look out what was released this year.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of great options. I think. There's some things. So we'll get into that towards the end of the year where we'll start to accumulate everything that was released for this season of Star Wars. Because I take every year as a season. From toys to shows, and see we'll pick out our best and worst and see where we go from there. So Alex, you join us from Shadow Nose Network. You're a staple here on Toy Chest. So what's going on over at the Shadow Nose?
You know, man, that's a two-sided question because a lot of things are going over here. First of all, it's always nice to be on the Toy Chest and everything, so it's a great jump. And we have this brotherhood kind of thing that's going on right now. So I know you guys have been over. Right now, we've got Getting Medieval. If you're into Lord of the Rings,
Gordon,
you're definitely gonna love that.
Yeah,
because not only is myself and Dr. Brentley, but Darth Moocher shows up week to week now on the Shadow Nose Network. So, if you want to get your swords, your dragons, your sorcery in, it's some D&D probably.
Yeah. They might be playing D&D and not even know it.
You never know. You never know. We might go full into this, man. We'll get some source books. We'll take it to the next level.
All right, cool. Let's go.
Then on Wednesday nights, we got the Toy Box Chronicles, myself and Mr. Chet Maddox, is followed by you guys on the Starlight Digest podcast and everything. Yes. So that's what makes it great. And then Friday nights, I understand that Friday night's the night that most people go out, but if you're sitting in, then you want to watch Pixel, Plastic, and Ink. All of our time for all of our live streams is 7 p.m. Pacific time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesday and Friday. And we put links in our descriptions, and I know you guys got links in the description.
Yep, there's one below. Yep.
So I think we need to keep up with the with. I think one of our guys put online. It was the host exchange program. So we're gonna have to keep doing a host exchange program.
No, really, it's all great. We're one big community, and it's great to collab and see where everybody goes. Like I said, with this channel, with Starlight Digest, we keep it Star Wars. We keep it in our lane of Star Wars toys, and we venture off. We do our sometimes our tangents and everything, but it's great to have a home to get concentrated talk going on. So. Yeah, Getting Medieval, having a blast with Lord of the Rings. I'm having a blast with Lord of the Rings in general. Yeah, exactly. Gordon knows this too. Yeah, Gordon's my fellow Lord of the Rings friend over there too. So yeah, it's great, and I can't wait to see where that goes. But link is in the
taking it, brother.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Link in the description below for the Shadow Nose Network. Get involved, like and subscribe. Of course, if you haven't liked this, you should have liked from minute one, because I already like the show as soon as it launched. Our next show will be in 2 weeks, and I'm sure Scott will be back. Maybe we'll hear from Tommy. We'll see where he's at, if anybody who is missing that guy, and see where it happens. Again, we got a lot of Star Wars talk. We got some showcases. We have some collection spotlights we still got to get into. I mean, there's a lot. And of course, the link is in the description below too for Tashi Station Emporium's YouTube channel and website for all your action figure needs, display stands for not just Star Wars, for everything. It's not just stands in general. I run the gambit of IP backgrounds and environments. That's what I really like, to take people's collections and really put them in its proper place. So real fast, Gordon, if that Rancor is $100, I'm in for sure, dude. If it is, that would make a lot of people happy. Exactly. A lot of people happy.
Exactly.
Dr. Brantley, check it in. Looking forward to the next Get Medieval, guys. Yes, Dr. Brantley. Yes, I am jonesing to talk some more Lord of the Rings. But again, thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody in the pit. That everybody's going to be joining us later on the replay crew. Get your comments in too, because again, we're always looking at the comments. We'll always be talking and see where the conversation goes. Did you like what Hasbro Pulse Con did? Do you want more of it, or are you satisfied? Like, are you like, oh, maybe they need to push, maybe they need to retract even more? So let's get everybody's opinions in and see where this world of collecting goes. So until next time we get together, I will see you guys later. Thank you, Alex. We'll see Scott too, and happy birthday, Scott! 50 years old. Scott. You only turned 50 once. You know what I mean? And but Scott's been turning 50 every single day leading up to his birthday. But happy birthday, man! We miss you. We will see you then. So take care.
This is Grand Admiral Thrawn. You are listening to the Sarlacc Digest. What a fascinating play on words.